We met him.
Yeah. Jai Bhim.
So, Jai Bhim, Jai Bhim.
Ravi Garu, shall I start?
Yes, we are live. Please start.
Yes, you can start.
Okay. Respected dignitaries and friends, I am really honored to welcome you all to the 14th SR Sankaran Memorial Lecture on Caste Census and Social Justice by our legendary officer Shri.B.Kalyan Chakravarthy IAS, who is very close to late Shri SR Sankaran Garu in terms of social activism, selflessness, and professional commitment. Center for Dalit Studies and Officers Forum started SR Sankaran Memorial Lecture in 2011. This is the 14th Memorial Lecture. Our first, we don't have much time. Now, this 14th lecture is presided over by Shri Vundru Rajasekhar Garu, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Haryana, and Shri.B.Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu, Additional Chief Secretary, Government of Assam, is going to speak on late Shri SR Sankaran Garu gurinchi. Now, our first memorial lecture was on SR Sankaran, the man, by Shri B.D. Sharma, IAS Officer Garu, and other speakers are Shri Kaki Madharao Garu, Professor Hargopal Garu, Professor Bajja Tarakam Garu, Shri Bajja Tarakam Garu, Bharati Garu. And this is the fourth lecture. Now I would humbly request Shri Vundru Rajasekhar Garu to preside over this function, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir.
Sir, unmute చేయాలి.
రాము
సార్ అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి సార్. రాజశేఖర్ సార్ అన్మ్యూట్ చేయాలి.
Sir, Rajasekhar sir, unmute.
ఓకే
Yes.
ప్లీజ్ స్పీక్ ఇన్ ఇంగ్లీష్ సార్.
అలాగే సార్. If it is an all India thing, I'll speak in Hindi.
ఆల్ ఇండియా థింగ్.
मेरा भी उत्तर प्रदेश से कभी सभी लोग आए हुए हैं because the speaker has after moving from the Andhra Pradesh to Delhi, he really picked up Hindi so well that K.Raju Garu was able to understand the various and to pick their nuances, and that was a great journey for Raj Garu. So what I would like today, I welcome you all, and it's a great honor for sir that we have continued continuously. We are remembering his sacrifice, his commitment, his leadership, and the way he has guided young officers to understand and move to social justice aspects. It's a social wider connotation.
Yes, somebody is talking, please cross talk.
Wider connotation. So all the people who are sitting here or some way or the other have been engaged with SR Sankaran Garu or have been inspired by him. And today we have requested Kopula Raj Garu, IAS officer, is retired now. He's into the great political milieu of this country, and the most appropriate man who could have who have worked with him, understood Sankaran Garu, and we will be looking forward to his talk. But before we go ahead, I'd like to talk about our speaker today, Kopula Raj Garu. When I was in JNU between 1986 and 90, I was a student in Jawaharlal Nehru University. one of the only magazines that was available in those days was India Today. So as students, we used to invariably pick up India Today apart from the other magazines, and used to study for the civil services. One magazine issue, there was a page, a single one-page news. It was about K.Raju Garu. That was the first time I knew about him. And that was the anti-liquor agitation done by the women in the Nellore district. And in that one page also, there was a small picture. I vividly even remember now. There was a small picture of Raj Garu, and on both sides of him, there were women. And that was one news which, in fact, a path-breaking, a major change, and how it showed how an IAS officer, a district collector, can come into the issues and come into the agitation, come into the aspirations of the women especially. Imagine in those days when the various projects or schemes for women were not that much. Women were at the behest of the patriarchy. They have been subdued and subjugated over the years because of the pressure of the patriarchy, irrespective of the caste they were in. Here, K.Raju Garu, we've heard him. In fact, today, if we are inspired by Sankaran Garu, we were also inspired by Raju Garu, his sacrifices, his commitment. He moved into various organizations. And as he moved ahead, apart from doing in the IAS, where he moved ahead, he came across to Uttar Pradesh. He started telling them how to run the various schemes of the government. And the government of the day picked him up. The United Progressive Alliance government picked him up. He was not even empaneled as a secretary to the government. They picked him up, posted in the PMO, and then said, please come and take care of a National Advisory Council. Now, I was posted in Delhi at that time. I could see with my own eyes, I could see how much struggle. It is not that you are in the National Advisory Council of a government and you can do whatever you want. His deep commitment has made so many changes during the UPA time. That was right to education, right to information, NREGA, food security bill, and more importantly, the amendments to the Scheduled Castes and Scheduled Tribes Act. The 2016 amendments which we saw, which was later on issued by the succeeding government, were all drafted and approved. It is not that you move a draft into the NAC, National Advisory Council, they will just approve. It is not. There were too many pulls and pressures. That commitment from where the leadership we all learned from SR Sankaran Garu. We have a reflection of SR Sankaran Garu today in K.Raju Garu. Now comes as a bureaucrat, of course, you understand, you have a social commitment, you do. Then came the major moment in the career and life of Raju Garu. He could have become the chief secretary of Andhra Pradesh. He set it aside. His commitment was to a wider, where we can take a wider platform again for the commitment for the social justice. He pushed away his career. He moved into a political arena, and move into a political arena is not easy. Somebody being a rank outsider and coming into the political arena is not easy. Still, Raj Garu ventured, took the risk, he has entered, and he has made a great contribution in his position. And politics is always ups and downs. Elections are always ups and downs, but he has stood his ground, stood firmly to his ground. His contribution as the Scheduled Caste Department chairman is immense, because we do not, only people in Andhra Pradesh or somewhere or Telangana would not understand or look at his contribution. He must have met every person who were in the Scheduled Caste Department with reference to the Scheduled Caste from all over the country. The variety, the range, and the problems he could understand. So much so, the party he is allied with has made him the chairperson of all Scheduled Caste, Scheduled Tribes, and minorities departments. He is the major overarching person today. That is how we all think that, people who are in bureaucracy will think that, okay, I'll go to politics, I'll become something and we'll contribute. Here, only single dedication of K.Raju Garu was exactly what Sankaran Garu's leadership was there. He said, wherever you are, whatever you can do, work on social justice, work for the oppressed, work for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, whosoever are in need of you, work for them. We are very thankful to Kuppala Raj Garu to have agreed. He is a very busy man. There are elections around the corner. There are 2 elections against Jharkhand and Maharashtra. He is very busy man, but we are so thankful to him on my behalf and on the CDS and all the organizations who are here for the talk. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. And I request you to please address us today. Thank you so much, sir.
Siddhoji Garu, is my uh, screen appearing there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is my voice clear?
Audible, sir.
Sir, very clear, sir. Very clear. Please.
Okay. Good evening to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank CDS Mallepalli Lakshmi Garu, SC/ST Officers Forum for Social Justice Siddhoji Garu, and also my friend Vundru Rajasekhar ji for such a generous introduction of me, which I think I really don't deserve. I think we all have drawn inspiration from Sri SR Sankaran and try to do 100th of what he succeeded in doing. So that way, SR Sankaran ji continues to inspire all of us. I'm glad that I'm joining with all of you in celebrating his birth anniversary of Sri SR Sankaran. I don't see him as, I don't think of him as an officer. He has been an institution that stood for realizing the vision of the Indian Constitution by ensuring equity and social justice in the society. And all of us are aware that in the next 1 month, on 26th November, we are all going to celebrate proudly 75th anniversary of acceptance of our Indian Constitution by the Constituent Assembly. Let me begin my Sri SR Sankaran Memorial Lecture of 2024 by making a statement on our Indian Constitution. That is, the path towards equity chosen by Indian Constitution is unparalleled in the world. But the progress towards equity is stonewalled by the caste system. Let me tell you why I say our Constitution is unparalleled. The values of our Indian Constitution were in fact pronounced nearly 250 years back when Americans have adopted their Declaration of Independence. I would like to remind you all the second iconic statement of that Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They are endowed with unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But I would like to mention that when Americans have adopted this, they did not really mean that all men are equal. They did not mean men and women are equal. Whereas in case of Indian Constitution, on the very first day the Constitution has come into force, untouchability stood abolished. universal adult franchise provided one man, one vote, one value. Whereas it took nearly 90 years for America after accepting their Declaration of Independence to abolish slavery. It took 144 years for America to provide voting rights to women. Whereas in the case of India, all these rights are provided on the very first day of our Constitution. Our Constitution, from its very inception, sought to eliminate discrimination which America permitted. Our Constitution did not come from above. It was not handed over to us by our masters or judges or elders. It has come through a number of struggles over many centuries. It was a product of struggles in the crucible. And these struggles happened on the streets led by the people who were deprived of power, position, and authority. The values of our constitutions were drawn from the teachings of Buddha, Mahavir, Thiruvalvar, Basavanna, Guru Nanak, Narayana Guru, Jyotiba Phule. That is why I say our constitution is unparalleled. Our constitution is indeed a break from the past. It challenges the norms that granted monopoly over knowledge and capital to some. Now the time has come for us, after 75 years of its existence, whether there was indeed a break from the past, whether the monopoly over knowledge and capital has been removed. That is the question that we need to put to ourselves. And we need to understand that the ideals of the Constitution, that is equity in the society, has not yet been realized, primarily because of a war that is going on between Constitution and Manusmriti. That's why I said the pursuit of our Indian Constitution is stonewalled by the caste system. That's why I would like to draw the attention of all the participants to this very war that has been going on between the Indian Constitution and the Manusmriti. The result of this war is the equity is still eluding Indians. Inequality is at a record high and growing. Poor Indians are still mostly from the marginalized communities. Marginalized communities lack power and opportunities. So I would like to draw your attention to these inequalities and how the poor are getting marginalized, how the marginalized communities lack power and opportunities. And I would like to link this situation to a solution that I will come in a few minutes from now. The result of the war going on between the Constitution and the Manusmriti is maldistribution of resources. I would like to say it once again, maldistribution of resources, assets, and opportunities suffered by the communities at the receiving end of the caste system. It is the caste system that has produced this scenario where there is a maldistribution of resources, assets, and opportunities. Just to draw your attention to this maldistribution of resources, assets, and opportunities, today, top 1% of our Indian population, they control nearly 23% of national income. 23% of our national income is held by top 1%. And the remaining 99% have their stake over 77%. Similarly, looking at the distribution of the wealth, how the nation's wealth is distributed, top 1% of the population has got 40% of nation's wealth. Top 1%. Top 1%, just 1% of the population have a control over 40% of the wealth, and the remaining 99% have to contend with the remaining 60% of the nation's wealth. I have done one exercise. In fact, it was a very time-taking, very meticulous exercise. What I wanted to look at was, I looked at 10 lakh crores of flow of nation's wealth through various actions of the government. Is a flow of nation's wealth into hands of the people. I looked at 10 lakh crores across various items and put in a lot of effort, tried to find out into whose hands this nation's wealth was flowing, and the results were very astonishing. 50 top mining auctions I looked at, and I tried to find out who all bagged these 50 very large mining auctions. They're all backed by upper caste. 24 of 25 power purchase agreements were all backed by upper caste. I looked at the top 25 power purchase agreements and tried to look at the caste of those fellows who got these contracts, and I found 24 out of 25 power purchase agreements were backed by the upper caste. And when I looked at the top 13 airports which were privatized, I found to my astonishment, all of them have gone into the hands of upper caste. When I looked at the large 28 minor ports, I found they were all privatized, handed over to the upper caste. I've also looked at Mr. Nitin Gadkari's national highway contracts, huge contracts, BOT contracts, 33 of them covering thousands and lakhs of crores of rupees, all backed by upper caste. And the Jal Shakti Ministry contracts major irrigation projects. 14 out of 15 major irrigation projects were all backed by upper caste. The Defense Ministry does a lot of private contracts, gives defense production to private players. 33, all the 33 of major defense contracts were backed by upper caste. I've also looked at the education institutions, engineering colleges, medical colleges, universities, private universities, and the latest report on the higher education published by government brings out that 80% of higher education institutions are in the private sector, which means education is handed over by the private entities to the students at a price, the price which our SC, ST, OBC students are not able to buy, and consequently they are year after year getting distanced from the higher education. On the other hand, government's investment on the public education is coming down. Funding is coming down to public education institutions and universities. Posts are not getting filled. Here, I would like to flag one issue for all of your information. In 2006, UPA government brought out a constitutional amendment, that was 93 constitutional amendment, which has inserted clause 5 to Article 15. Article 15(5) clearly says there shall be a reservation for SC, ST, OBCs in government aided and private education institutions. In fact, this is the issue in every party forum, Congress party forum, I used to raise. Why in the first instance, UPA government, after passing this constitutional amendment, no central legislation has come? Why our Congress governments have not brought state level legislations? So with great persuasion, the promise that we'll bring a central legislation, provide for reservation for SC, STs and OBCs in higher education, private education institutions, that promise is included in the 2024 Congress Party's election manifesto. And many more. If you look at the insurance companies empaneled for Fasal Bima Yojana, huge funds go to these insurance companies. All these 13 insurance companies are held by upper caste. And huge fertilizer subsidy goes to a number of companies. 91% of these companies are owned by upper caste. 92% of startup fund goes to the businesses funded by upper caste. And coming to the educational sector, Mr. Sidhoji?
Hello, please, all our friends should unmute, whoever.
Mr. Sudhaji, can I go? Carry on?
Please carry on, sir. Please carry on.
Okay. Recently, based on a right to information petition filed in one university, we found that 24 out of 27 departments, there is no single SC faculty. And out of 45 central universities, data relating to 2022, there is only one scheduled caste vice chancellor. And with a lot of effort, I have collected information about 661 High Court judges. Among 661 High Court judges, 21 belong to scheduled caste community, 12 belong to scheduled tribe community, and 78 belong to OBC community. Rest are all upper caste. And we also looked at the media, the print media, digital media, and who are heading this media, and not even a single media head comes from scheduled caste community. Not even a single TV anchor is a scheduled caste. I've also looked at, in fact, I've taken the help of Mr. Rajasekhar to find out the caste of these secretaries of Government of India. In the dead of the night, I woke him up and then he was kind enough to give me. Out of 90 secretaries, upper caste are 29, OBCs 22, SC 6, and ST 3. But what is interesting to note is their control over 42 lakh crores budget. Upper caste secretaries control 93% of the budget. 43 lakh crore budget, they control 93%. OBCs control only 5.6% budget. SCs control only mere 1.3% budget. SC 6 secretaries together, they control only 1.3% budget. And scheduled tribes control 0.1% of the budget. Now, so what all I've been presenting to you brings out very clearly that there is undoubtedly a disease in the country. There is a disease in the society. That disease is the caste system. And we need to understand how it is playing, not just at a national level, about which I talked about it, but merely talking about national level doesn't really present the real shape of this caste system, doesn't really make people understand how it is perpetuating the inequalities. One has to understand what is happening at a village level, at a ward level, at a district level, at a mandal level. What is the position of a particular community? For that, one has to do an X-ray. When there is a disease, one has to do an X-ray. So X-ray is caste census. That's what we keep saying very clearly, that there is a disease in the society, and for finding out, we need an X-ray, and caste census is the X-ray. And we should not be content with just an X-ray. Patient will not be happy by just having X-ray handed over to his hand. We may do caste census, but if we don't give medicine in terms of reaffirmative policies, there's no point in doing the caste census. So this is the kind of a demand that should be articulated by all Bahujans, that do an X-ray and give us the medicine by bringing revised, reformed affirmative policies. So that's why I would define the caste census as it measures nature and extent of maldistribution of resources, assets, and opportunism suffered by the communities at the receiving end of the caste system. Now, from the ever since the issue of caste census has come into public domain, political Congress party started demanding, Rahulji started demanding, whole lot of opposition started developing to oppose the caste system. And perhaps that is the reason as why till now Government of India have not announced their policy on conduct of the caste census. Now, I would like to briefly refer to the opposition. The opposition is that social and economic inequalities continue to exist even after a caste census was conducted in Bihar. Yes, Bihar caste census was conducted. The findings of the caste census are now people are internalizing. And I'm sure it will create a demand for a number of policies. It will also create a lot of other demands also. You can't expect the world to change upside down the day caste census is released. But definitely in Bihar, the findings of the caste census has created a churning in the society. Caste census will deepen caste-based divisions. It is a statement which doesn't has any basis, because in the Indian society, caste is a reality. We cannot Vishabheda caste. By talking about the caste, one cannot say caste-based divisions will be deepening. But by bringing equality only, caste-based divisions can be erased, not by hiding the caste, because that is a reality. Caste census will have impact on merit. That is a fear. Yes, caste census will definitely have an impact on merit. The caste census reports, if they come from 3-4 states, that will be good enough to fight a case in the Supreme Court for removing the ceiling of 50% on the reservations. That's why the upper castes are afraid that the data that would come would provide a strong justification for removal of the ceiling of reservation of 50%. And there are some people who say, we have done the caste census in 1931. After that, no caste census were conducted. Why should we do the caste census after 100 years? But I would like to point out to them that every 10 years, the census is taking is doing the caste census in respect of scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Every 10 years, that is happening. So it is not correct to say that caste census have not been happening since 1931. And also, if you look at the matrimonial advertisements, in the allied matrimonial advertisements, you would also find that the caste is getting solidified even among the upper castes also. So it is not right to say that the caste census will actually resurrect the caste system in the society. And there are some people who say caste census is humongous, it will delay census. It is not correct, because in the decennial census, the census that happen once in 10 years, the Government of India conducts census. Unfortunately, the census which ought to have happened in the year 2021 are already delayed by 3-4 years. Consequently, I would say that delay has costed huge loss of reservation to SC/STs, because the present SC/ST reservation is based on 2011 census. Already 13 years is over. In this 13 years population growth, if you take into consideration, the SC/ST reservations would have gone up year after for every year. So one can calculate the kind of jobs SC/STs have lost on account of the decision for delaying the caste census after 2021. I mean, caste census that should have happened in 2021 have not happened. So we are relying on 2011 caste census only. That is costing us huge for SC/STs in terms of lower reservation that is given to them based on 2011 population figures. And of course, invitation to caste politics and intensifies the social strife. This again it doesn't stand on its feet. And there are many people who would say that, okay, we will agree for caste census, but it will not end with simply caste census. There will be demand for counting the caste in various other surveys Government of India or state governments are doing. I would say that is welcome. We should put this caste question in all these surveys. Then the kind of information that state governments and Government of India will get will be so valuable, so rich, they'll be able to really plan their policies and programs. For example, look at the surveys. Economic census, agriculture census. For example, very elaborate agriculture census happen on the land holdings, on the irrigation, on the availability of irrigation facilities. Whole lot of questions are asked in the agriculture census, which happen periodically. If alone we put only one question, what is your caste? It will give us a lot of information on the deprivation the marginalized sections are suffering. All India survey on higher education. It will give us the information about what is the current status of SC, ST, OBC on their higher education, access to higher education. Household consumption expenditure survey, very big survey that gets conducted, but no question on the caste is asked. Why can't we ask this question? What is your jati? Note down that jati, so that a lot of surveys can happen, a lot of studies can happen. Periodic labor force survey. This periodic labor force survey is a very good survey. If alone we are able to also add this caste question, you'll be able to really know how the SC, ST, OBC's occupation is appearing, what kind of incomes they are getting. One will get a fantastic insights from that. Survey of all public sector employees. Survey of all public sector employees, you will know how many of them are SC, ST, OBCs, at what level. Survey of private sector employees. So I would say that this fear that if you do the caste census, there will be demand for including the question on the caste in various other surveys. Yes, it is a fear, but then there is a strong case for putting that question in all these surveys. That's why if caste census happen, then demand for putting that question in all these surveys also will happen. If caste census do not happen, then this will be a far-fetched kind of a demand. Now, caste census, I would say, if you were to explain why there is so much of opposition from others against the conduct of caste census, it is primarily because caste census will be unmasking the privileges of upper caste Hindu in every walks of public life. The privileges they have been enjoying for centuries, that will be unmasked. The reservations they have been enjoying by the virtue of their birth, that will be unmasked. That's why they don't want caste census. Now, I'll take another 4-5 minutes before I close. In Bihar, caste census was conducted in 2022. I would like to share a few insights, because this is not the occasion to share complete findings of Bihar caste census, but I would like to briefly share a few findings. The Bihar caste census, the first reading of caste census, it is making out a strong case with a solid data for revising the reservation list. For example, in Bihar, Banias are OBCs. They have been enjoying OBC reservations for ever since OBC reservations have come into effect. But the caste census of Bihar brings out very clearly Banias are on par with upper caste. So a case for revising the reservation list arises. Similarly, on the socio-economic position of OBCs and extremely backward communities, a lot of there's a case for revisiting these communities. And secondly, any man with average common sense looking at the Bihar caste census will raise this question. What is that question? The question is the EWS quota, which is available to upper caste poor people under EWS quota, 10% quota, which the Supreme Court has not objected to it, though it is beyond 50% ceiling. They have not raised the questions about empirical data as in case of SC and ST OBCs. They have conveniently ignored all this and allowed 10% EWS quota. But to tell you in simple words, being a poor upper caste in Bihar, you have better chances of getting job than a scheduled caste, than a OBC. Well, there are 15% of the population of Bihar are upper caste. Out of them, maybe half of them may be poor. So 7.5% are enjoying 10% EWS quota. So demand already started coming from SC, ST, OBC poor communities. Why can't we also access EWS quota? The next thing is the Bihar caste census data, for reasons best known to the rulers, only the macro data was published. Micro data was not published. If micro data is published, a whole lot of churning will happen. The reason as why I've chosen this topic to present to all of you is Telangana is commencing caste census. The civil society have to put a lot of their mind, effort together to make sure this caste census is conducted effectively, and the data up to panchayat level is publicized so that there can be demand for reaffirmative policies. And the case for lifting 50% ceiling is straightaway established based on the Bihar caste census. Need for focusing on most backward areas also has come out very clearly. Just a few slides before I close. In Bihar caste census, upper caste 15.5%, they are enjoying 10% of EWS quota. Scheduled caste 19.7% population, they are enjoying only 16% reservation. Scheduled tribes 1.7, enjoying 1%. OBCs 27%, they are availing 15% reservation. Extremely backward communities 36%, they are enjoying only 18% reservation. If you look at two more metrics, poverty rate and permanent housing. The general communities poverty rate is 25%, whereas in case of scheduled caste, it is 43%, OBC is 33%, EBC is 34%. In terms of access to permanent housing, the general category population, 75% of the population have access to permanent housing. And in case of scheduled caste, only 48%, scheduled caste 43%, OBC 64% of OBCs only have permanent housing, and 56% of extremely backward communities only have permanent housing. Data like this will throw up demands, particularly say from scheduled castes, for much higher level of investment from government for providing them permanent housing. Similarly, EBCs will come up with a demand for expanding their coverage under permanent housing programs. So all these things will become materially possible with the caste census available there. As I said, key insights: reservation quota for EWS is extremely generous. That has come out from Bihar caste census report. 32% of government employees, 1/3 of government employees in Bihar are upper caste. That number is 2 times higher than OBCs, 3 times higher than EBCs. Now, finally, coming to the caste census in Telangana. Telangana government have issued government orders for taking up the caste census. And since I am charged with the responsibility to look after SC, ST, OBC, minority interests, I'm trying to make sure that the Telangana government does this caste census in a manner that every caste, including upper caste, is counted. Because to begin with, Telangana government thought that they will count only OBCs. Then we felt, one could, we all impressed upon them. It's not, the purpose of caste census will not be served only counting OBC caste. You have to count upper caste, you have to count SC, ST, OBCs, everybody. So now they are counting everybody. A very systematic approach to do the caste census being formulated based on the experience of Bihar and Karnataka. In fact, the household survey schedule that we have just finalized 2-3 days back, it was much more comprehensive. It is looking at various parameters, very rich in its ability to collect the data. But only thing is, the civil society have to really closely monitor how it is being done. And once it is done, a demand has to be there for publicizing this caste census up to village level. Because in the year 2006, a household survey was done by the then Chief Minister, Shri.B.Kalyan Chakravarthy, Sakala Kutumba Survey, SKS. But then that report was not publicized. So my appeal to the civil society organizations is, unless the results of the caste census down to the panchayat level is publicized, then only people will start discussing it. Then only demand for policy reforms will happen. Demand for reprioritizing government priorities will happen. That will, in the long run, help the SC, ST, OBCs to move forward and realize the goal of equity. So with these few words, I would like to thank all of you for giving me patient hearing. Jai Bhim. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I request Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu, Additional Chief Secretary of Assam, to say about Sankaran Garu few words in his memory. I am request Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu to speak.
Thank you, sir. In fact, Sidhuji suddenly told me that I should join this thing, and had not given me much time to come prepared. So you must really excuse me for being very brief. and that too, like post the presentation of K.Raju Garu, Raju sir, on this extremely important, sensitive, and necessary subject. Whatever I speak may not be of that impact, but I must say that I can speak from the point of view of my thinking, on the point of view of whatever I have been contemplating. I will not speak about Sankaran sir, because I think volumes have been written about him as being as a people's IAS officer. We have very great legends here who are also watching this. But as a person who doesn't belong to this to the community, who is a Dalit or a tribal, to have a kind of this kind of an empathy, I think is extremely rare. We've come across many officers who are more, let's say, not empathetic, but compassionate. It is as if they are trying to be sympathetic to the cause, but at the same time, many a time we come across officers who nurse the feeling of the distinction. I have come across many times many officers during my service who say that we sympathize with your cause, but deeply hold beliefs that that reservation per se is incorrect. The whole policy, the social equity policy, or the policy to bring about social equity, or the constitutional value that everybody is born equal, or at least the policies have to make everyone equal rather than just the right to equality. They look at that as an anomaly, and they say that it's a socialistic policy and is not right for a society which needs to grow. Of course, Sankaran sir has perhaps invested his life not just in the Dalit welfare or tribal welfare, emancipation or bonded labor. It is or that, you know, post-retirement, if you see that he's been involved in social movements. In today's life, we'll see that most of the officers post-retirement are eagerly looking forward to, and in that it looks like he comes from a different, a completely different century, or a different yuga, as you can say. Because today, the most important, the most senior-most officers across the country are have nothing that in terms of investing in social equity or social movements post-retirement. Their complete interest is, irrespective of the caste, is into post-retirement jobs and more important jobs. One of the last or the key aspects of his living was simple living, in terms of in the manner in which he lived, the manner in which he was completely uncompromising in terms of his integrity. I think that is also something that stands out, and something that is extremely rare for a person to remain completely wedded to the philosophy of social equity without thinking about himself across the Northeast, from Tripura to Andhra Pradesh, to be respected so much. I think also came out from his uncompromising integrity. Now, integrity, of course, today in today's world is not just in terms of money, but we see that integrity in the officers today over a period of time has been compromised ideologically, morally, and ethically, more than monetarily. And we find that when we take decisions today, the commitment to do something ethically correct, commitment to at least remain neutral, if not ethically predisposed towards the to the underprivileged, even to remain ethically neutral, has become a big challenge. So, in a situation where we cannot even remain neutral to across the caste, this definitely his life and message is a beacon light going forward. I was very closely observing Raju sir's presentation. Though I joined a little bit late, I must say that it brings out the malaise that affects our society in great detail, and the need, of course, as to why we need great officers like Sankaran Garu, because he would probably come out as more unbiased. Anyone speaking from the point of view of who is a sufferer, irrespective of how objective or rational he might be in the analysis, will always be looked at as being biased, or being, you know, or laying it heavily by emotions. They will not look at it as scientific or rational. But if there is somebody who actually can come out like Shankaran sir, despite not being the one who was wearing the wrong shoe, in spite of that, if he comes out with this kind of empathy, that's what we need to encourage. Sir has brought out, of course, Raju sir has brought out clearly the Malays, as I said, and that is probably just the first step, and it has to be followed. Many a time during discussion at various policy levels, we talk about how in order to eliminate caste or annihilate caste, we need to know caste, and we need to give the right proportionate, not just representation in terms of jobs or but in economically, politically, socially, but most important, in terms of and the policies that can be done. I had in fact done a number of studies on the caste class sort of the coterminous status in society, the convergence of caste and class, and the many studies that have been done by, say, Thoret and so many authors who are not related to India, foreign authors. And after presenting many studies about how caste is an affliction, it has been many times looked at as being biased, because people either they are from the same caste or the foreigners don't know much about our country and how things are changing. But then, of course, one needs to at the policy level, one needs to really understand that post the caste census, which is a necessity, which I think is which bears reiteration, which bears I think all the support. Post that, there is a need for a number of measures, and that is what I look forward to. I did, of course, write a little bit about that. In fact, my PhD thesis is, what do we do post the caste census? And I had talked about how intercaste marriage has not been very successful, how inheritance tax, which was there at the time of Indira Gandhi, and how post abandoning of that inheritance tax, there has been a wide variation between the rich and the poor, and a wide variation also in terms of the fortunes of the caste. When though inheritance tax did not yield in terms of money, how it really narrowed the gaps. So we brought out a study on that. I did write on that. Brought out also a study on how the urban neighborhoods are actually some sort of mirroring the rural neighborhoods, and therefore the caste nexus. How we need to really make a policy of the urban structuring so that we can overcome this social distance that is there. How each policy can be more representative, whether it's an excise policy, whether it's not just a rural development policy, whether it's a housing policy, or whether it's an agricultural policy. How we have to make this either caste neutral or caste positive is something that is the challenge forward once we, I think, we really establish the caste census. Of course, I wouldn't like to go further into the life, because I think everybody knows about how he has stood as a beacon light in terms of his deep work and service to the cause of social equity in society. And of course, since Sidhoji invited me at a very short notice, I must say I'm privileged to be part of this conversation of hearing all the legends speak here. I shall rest here. Thank you very much.
What is the stage of your
Okay. So I can hear you.
Sir, thank you, sir. Thank you, Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu. Just two things has remained to present here. One is we are giving award of Lakshmi Venugopal, wife of K.R. Venugopal Gari. Wife, we are giving the hostel girl students, merit hostel girl student in Telangana. This year, I think we are selected. We are selecting the processes. We are collecting the data from the Scheduled Caste Development Department. Whoever passed in with higher marks, then now I I request my colleagues present this on screen. I think Ram will tell the details. Then after this presentation, I think I hand over to Madhav Rao Garu. Madhav Rao Garu also will announce something. Ramu, please present it.
Sir, Ram is not available. I am Ravi, sir.
Please, Ravi, please present.
This is the selected candidates. Akshara from Suryapeta. She studied in Suryapeta Social Welfare Hostel and she scored 9.8. I will show that also. For 10th class in last year academic year. So we got only one student got that type of that grade marks. So we simply selected that, and her brother also joined in this meeting. He is studying in third year engineering in Usman University. He also in this meeting. So we already prepared the DD also, cash money prize DD also prepared. So this is the prize money, sir, we are giving to Akshara. So this is we will hand over through post or by hand also we can give it to you. Thank you.
Sir, I am now requesting Sir Madhav Rao Garu. I think all of you know him. He was a former Chief Secretary of United Andhra Pradesh. Now he is heading of the SC Officers Forum of United Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Now I request Madhav Rao Garu to speak.
From this year onwards, we will be presenting the award of similar amount, 10,000 rupees, to the boy who stands first in the among the scheduled castes. Scheduled tribe.
Yes.
No, scheduled caste ani. In Japan tribe.
Yes, sir. Scheduled tribe and Japan.
Okay. So the data is not there. When the data comes, CDS will distribute it. If Kalyan Chakravarthy is there, are you there, Kalyan?
I'm here, very much here.
Yeah, I just want to know what's the stage of your thesis.
Sir, I have, sir, okay. So actually, I have published it. I've got a doctorate on that. So in fact, I had published a thesis how I've analyzed about 62 schemes as to how each of these government schemes have so-called supposed to benefit. What was the real impact on the Dalits? So I presented that. And how I said that each policy is actually is making the difference in the status of the upper and the lower caste wider as to what was the impact of the policy. So I made a study on that. Then I came up with some solutions as to what should be the kind of a social policy in order to make them converge, the statuses converge. So I did publish that thesis. Fortunately, it was not read by anybody when I was there in Telangana. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got a doctorate, I think, sir. So it passed because the thesis went to some university in Madras and somewhere else in the north, I'm told.
But is it published?
Yes, it is published, sir.
Okay. How do we access it?
Sir, I'll send a copy to you, sir. I will send a copy to you. Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you, Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu. Thank you, Madhav Rao Garu. Now I think this meeting should be wind up. I thanks to Raju Garu very much. I think it's eye-opening for me also. He presented data about these inequalities and wealth, all those things. I think we would definitely publish these things. I request you to Raju Garu to send publication mode. Then we will publish immediately with any delay. The second thing is thanks to Rajasekhar ji. Rajasekhar, he is very much every time he is with us, and his words about Raju Garu is, I think I am also very happy to listen. Even Suresh also. I think my relation with Rajgar, I think 33 years. When he was in collector in Nellore, I went to coverage of the Sara Udyamam. Then I wrote an article. Then I put an interview of Raj Garu in my article also. That is the 92, I think 32 years. Anyway, it's a very good meeting. I think thanks to Kalyan Chakravarthy Garu, he came with all the details. I think it is also very happy to listen is the study and all those things. Thanks to CDS staff Ramu and Dinesh and Ravi. Then I thanks to Sidhuji and thanks to our elder, our leader Madhavrao Garu. Thanks to Himachal Pradesh friends Sukhdevji, Dheer Saabji or Chandraji. I thanks to Dinesh Chandra from UP. I thanks to Ambujakshan from Kerala and all other. Vittal Rajan Gar also here is very very elder person in the democratic movement. I thanks to him also. Then whoever I didn't take all the names.
Vundru.
I already said, sir.
Okay. Okay.
He didn't bother about I will tell him or not. That is not the big. Thanks to all Limbadri Garu and all other people whoever come into this. Thank you very much. Now I wind up meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all the dignitaries, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jai Bhim to everyone. Thank you.
Jai Bhim, sir. Jai Bhim.
Ravi, please wind up.
Yes, sir.